You wake up in a dark, endless room with no doors, no windows, just silence. A whisper echoes from nowhere and everywhere at once. It tells you a story, a cruel story about yourself. It reminds you of every mistake, every failure, every moment of doubt. It weaves together fragments of your past, twisting them into something monstrous. You try to silence it, but the voice is relentless. It knows exactly where to strike, how to make you suffer. But here's the catch. That voice? It's yours. How is it possible that the very mind meant to protect you, guide you, and keep you sane becomes the architect of your suffering? Why does it sabotage your happiness, question your worth, and distort your reality? And more terrifyingly, if you can't trust your own mind, what can you trust? The worst enemy is never the one outside, it's the one within. But where does this enemy come from? And more importantly, can you escape it? Your mind, the very thing that allows you to think, dream, and create, is also the greatest weapon turned against you. Why? Because it was never designed for happiness. It was designed for survival. Arthur Schopenhauer once described life as a pendulum swinging between pain and boredom. The mind, he argued, is driven by an insatiable will, an endless thirst that can never be satisfied. The moment you achieve something, the pleasure is fleeting. Your mind immediately craves the next thing, the next validation, the next distraction. It is never at rest. And so, trapped between longing and dissatisfaction, you suffer. Nietzsche takes it further. He warns that most people are slaves to the unconscious forces within them. Their thoughts are not their own, but echoes of societal conditioning, primal fears, and learned helplessness. How much of what you believe about yourself, your worth, your potential, is truly yours? How much has been programmed into you by a world that profits from your self-doubt? And then there's Carl Jung, who saw the mind as a battlefield of conflicting forces: the rational self, the shadow self, the suppressed emotions clawing to be heard. What if the voice that whispers your worst fears is not your enemy, but a part of you that you've neglected for too long? What if your suffering isn't just an accident, but the inevitable result of ignoring what your own soul is trying to tell you? The real horror isn't that your mind is working against you. It's that you never even realized it was happening. And the longer this battle remains unseen, the more power it has over you. But what are the consequences of living this way? What happens when your worst enemy isn't out there, but inside you? Think about it. If your own mind is your enemy, then every battle you fight is rigged against you. Every failure feels permanent. Every success feels empty. And worst of all, you don't even recognize that the chains holding you back are ones you built yourself. This is how it begins. You tell yourself you're not good enough, that you'll never be as successful, as loved, as admired as others. You compare, you self-doubt, you ruminate. And what happens? The brain, being the ruthless machine that it is, reinforces these beliefs. Neuroplasticity, the ability of your brain to rewire itself, doesn't work in your favor when your thoughts are poisoned. Negative thinking carves deep neural pathways, making despair your default state. The more you indulge self-defeating thoughts, the more real they become. But it doesn't stop there. Your subconscious mind is always listening. It absorbs every doubt, every hesitation, and it shapes your reality accordingly. If you believe you are unworthy of love, you will subconsciously push people away. If you believe you are destined to fail, you will sabotage your own efforts without realizing it. It's not magic, it's psychology. And then, there's the deeper consequence, the existential one. Viktor Frankl once said that man's primary drive is not pleasure, but meaning. But what happens when your mind convinces you that nothing matters? What happens when you wake up every day feeling trapped inside your own head, unable to escape the endless cycle of doubt, regret, and fear? You become a ghost of yourself, existing but not truly living. The scariest prison is the one with invisible walls, and most people never even realize they're trapped. But what if you could break free? What if everything you've believed about yourself is a lie, and there's another way to live? What if I told you that the voice inside your head, the one that whispers doubt, fuels fear, and keeps you shackled to old insecurities, is not you? What if the greatest trick your mind ever pulled was convincing you that its self-sabotaging thoughts were your own? Here's the truth. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. And the moment you realize this, the war inside your head begins to shift. To break free, you must do something radical. Challenge everything your mind tells you. When it says, "You'll fail," ask, "Says who?" When it whispers, "You're not good enough," demand proof. This is what cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, and ancient Stoicism have in common: the relentless questioning of your own narratives. The moment you stop accepting your mind's lies as truth, you weaken its grip. But rebellion requires more than just awareness. It demands action. You cannot think your way into a new reality. You must act your way into one. Nietzsche called this the will to power, the ability to impose your own meaning onto the chaos of existence. If your mind tells you that you are weak, prove it wrong. If it tells you that you are unloved, become someone worthy of love. Not for others, but for yourself. There's another way out of the trap, one that's counterintuitive. Learn to detach. The Buddhists call it non-attachment, the ability to witness thoughts and emotions without identifying with them. Imagine your self-doubt as a passing cloud. It is there, but it is not you. The more you practice stepping back from your thoughts, the less power they hold. Most people never fight back. They surrender to their own self-imposed limitations without even realizing it. But you are not most people. You now see the game for what it is. And that means you have a choice: to remain a prisoner of your own mind or to step beyond it. But if you do, something unexpected happens. Something that changes everything. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast abyss, the divide between who you were and who you could become. You've spent your life believing you were at the mercy of your thoughts, a captive of the mind's relentless chatter. But now, a deeper realization emerges. The mind is not your master. It is your tool. Here's the brutal truth most never dare to face. Your suffering was never about the world, other people, or even bad circumstances. It was always about the war within you. Every fear, every insecurity, every hesitation was constructed by your own mind, feeding on your doubts like a parasite. And the worst part? You thought that parasite was you. But look closer. Who is the one observing these thoughts? Who is the one suffering? There is something deeper within you, something that has been watching, waiting for you to wake up. You are not the voice in your head. You are the awareness behind it. The greatest power you will ever wield is the ability to not believe every thought that enters your mind. Descartes said, "I think, therefore I am." But that was only half the truth. The full realization is this: I observe my thoughts, therefore I am free. This is the shift that changes everything. Suddenly, self-doubt becomes nothing more than background noise. Fear loses its grip. Every negative emotion, every intrusive thought, merely passing clouds in the sky of your awareness. And then an even deeper realization strikes. If my mind has been my worst enemy all this time, it can also become my greatest ally. What if, instead of letting your thoughts control you, you trained them to serve you? What if you could reprogram your mind to fuel courage instead of fear, discipline instead of distraction, self-belief instead of self-doubt? This is where true power lies, not in controlling the world, not in seeking validation from others, but in mastering the one thing that has always been within your grasp: yourself. So the final question remains: now that you see the truth, what will you do with it?